Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode. Today we are looking at a fairly simple Hackerrank question. It's called left rotation. It's in the interview preparation kit, and we'll be solving it using C++. So one thing that I need to give you a disclaimer about is that we're not using this workspace. We will be coding in VS Code. And with that said, let's jump to the question. A left rotation operation occurs on an array, shifts each of the array's elements 1 unit to the left. For example, if two left rotations are performed on an array, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then the array would become 3, 4, 5 to 1. So essentially what's happening is that you have an array, the last two elements kind of get pushed to that side, and then they come back to this side. That's the entire idea. Uh, let's jump to writing some code. Now, we won't be keeping in mind the constraints. We won't be doing an input output kind of thing. We'll define everything in the program itself. And another reason why we are not using this workspace is because it uses bit standard C++.h. Now, while it's amazing, bit standard C++.h, it's amazing if you're a competitive coder. It's not great if you're on a local system. We want to make sure that you can write code on local systems first. It is basically a package of all the important libraries. So we'll be skipping that for now, and let's jump right into VS Code. All right, so the idea that we are going with today is that we're using something known as vectors. Now, vectors is this dynamic array in which you can add elements and it'll automatically increase the container size. So let's get to first, like with that in mind, let's get to writing the code, and I'll keep the name of the code array2.cpp. So let me first include the IO stream because we'll need to print things, and let me include vector. So now that we have written that, let me also write using namespace std. All right, I'll just zoom into it a little bit. All right, that should be fine. Now let's try the main function. We aren't really returning anything as such. We're just manipulating the given array. So we'll go with a void rotate vector. I already talked about vector. Now this will be an integer based vector. So vector int with, and we'll call it vec int d. All right. Let's. So the idea is in vector, what we'll be doing is we'll be pushing an element to the end. We'll be adding an element to the end. The vector size increases, and then we'll be removing the first element. All right. Fair enough. Very simple idea. Let's see how we implement it. All right. So let's for int I is equal to 0. Let's write the I less than d. So we have to do it for d iterations. All right. That's, I forgot to mention, that's what d is. And then we do an I plus plus, and then we go ahead, we do a vec dot pushback. This will basically add to the end of the vector, and we do a vec 0. So this will add the first element of the vector to the last one, and let me erase the first element. So we'll go with erase begin. The beginning of the vector will be erased. So now that the main part of the code is done, let me write a code to basically print the rotated array. So I'll do a for. Since we're not returning anything, we'll just print it inside of the function. That shouldn't be much of a problem for now. For int I is equal to 0, I less than vec of size 1 plus plus. We're basically traversing through the vector and printing it out. We'll go with the cout. We included IOStream for a reason. Cout, and we'll go with a vec. We'll include the presently. We'll include the element presently being traversed through, and basically we will. All right, that should do it. And let's try the driver code. Now the driver code is where everything runs, so we'll just mark the driver code. This is just a comment, not needed. I usually write it to keep track of things. Vector int, we'll call it ar. It's not an array. I'm just keeping it for the sake of the. Fuck it. Let me just keep it vector vec2. That sounds fine. 10, 20, 30, 40. That should be fine. And int n is equal to vec2 dot size, and int d is equal to, let's go with a 2, 3. Let's go with the 3. So we're basically pushing 3 elements, 10, 20, and 30 to the front, to the back, and then it goes to the front. So it should end up looking like 40, 10, 20, 30. Now let's call the function. What was the function name? We called it rotate. So let's call it rotate, and let's do a what was it, vec2 and d mod n, and we'll return 0. All right, now let's write the function command that we need to run it. G++ array2.cpp. Error. Oh wait, sometimes you need to use C++11. So we'll just use the flag std is equal to, so this is basically a flag to make sure that we're using C++11 standard version 11, and then we'll go with the array2.cpp. This should do it. So there seems to be some error. I will just fix it in a second. I'll just look through the code, see if I fucked up someplace. I'm not really sure. It says that the error is somewhere over here, but it says back.begin is the error. What a dumbass. Alright, so yep, it gives me 40, 10, 20, 30. So that's been for this video, guys. We rotated an array. We didn't do it in on the Hackerrank platform. We took the question prompt from there, problem prompt from there, and then we did it on VS Code. This is to make sure that you first know how to write code locally, so that you can practice your code whenever you want to without even a prompt. There are a lot of questions that are there on Hackerrank. With that said, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Join me again tomorrow.